few examples of converting to areas. We'll have 3,500 square meters to square kilometers, square meters to square kilometers. Okay, I'm going to write this out in full for the sake of the instruction as to what it looked like in an examination. Okay, so remember we'll go from meters to kilometers, right? And I want you to remember there were 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So when I went from meters to kilometers, from smaller unit to larger unit, I divide by 1,000, right? Okay, but remember that we're talking about kilometers and we're talking about meters squared. So that's meters squared and kilometers squared, so this has to be divided by 1,000 squared. And if I have to put that down, I'm going to say, okay, that's 3,500 square meters, right, is equal to 3,500 square meters. Let's leave out the square meter there because we've put it in the beginning, divided by 1,000 squared, right? 1,000 times 1,000, that's a million. Okay, so that's going to give me 3,500 divided by 1 million. And if I divide that by 1 million, I get 0,0035 square kilometers. Okay, or kilometers squared. Okay, that's example A. Let's look at B. Okay, so let's look at the next one. It says square centimeters to square millimeters, and it's going to be 80 square centimeters to square millimeters, in other words millimeters squared. Okay, so let's remember, you can go back to your conversion table, and if I'm moving from centimeters to millimeters, centimeters was a larger unit, so I'm going to put that on the right hand side, and millimeters was a smaller unit. In each centimeter we have 10 millimeters, and so as you know that to go from this one to this one, right, I had to multiply by 10. But now it's important to also note that we're not talking about just centimeters to millimeters, but we're talking about centimeters squared to millimeters squared, and therefore this has to be 10 to the power of 2. So I do this over here and I say, okay, that's going to be 80 centimeters squared, and that's equal to 80, right, multiplied by 10 to the power of 2, right? And as you know, 10 to the power of 2, if you put that in the calculator, that's just 10 times 10. That's going to give me 100. And 80 times 100 is 8,000. 8,000 millimeters squared. Okay, let's look at example C. Remember, if you need to go back, just pause, play, rewind. Example C says 0.03 meters squared to square centimeters. 0.03 meters squared to square centimeters. In other words, to centimeters squared. Now, very importantly, just think about where does this lie. If I go back, I can see that meters squared is here and centimeters squared is there. If I go from meters squared to centimeters squared, I multiply, and that's multiplied by a factor of 2 to the power of 2, right? Okay, so again, if I notice, I know that a meter is a larger unit going to a smaller unit, right? Now when I go from a larger unit to a smaller unit, you know that there's going to be more of that smaller unit in one of that larger units, and that simply means that I'm going to need to multiply. That's very important as well. Okay, and how do I do this? Well, I say meters to centimeters, meters lied here, and centimeters was there, and there's only one jump, so I go from there to there. In each meter there's 100 centimeters, and so I multiplied by 100. Because I'm dealing with area, I'm dealing with square meters, square centimeters, and therefore I multiply by 100 squared. So how do I do this? I say 0,03 meters squared is equal to 0,03 multiplied by 100 to the power of 2. That's going to be 0,03 multiplied by 10,000. Okay, and that should give me a solution of 300 square centimeters. Okay, and that you can do on the calculator. Remember, you need to lay out a question exactly like this to attain the full 2 marks. Okay. Okay, let's look at example D. Okay, example D says 13 square centimeters to square meters. Okay, so let's look at where the centimeters are and where the meters are. Centimeters again are over here, meters are over here. I'm going now from a smaller unit to a larger unit, so I work at the bottom. Smaller unit to a larger unit, and that's going to be divide by 100 centimeters in each meter, so it's divide by 100. Because again I'm working with areas, I raise this to square meters, square centimeters, and therefore divide by 100 squared. So that's going to be 13 square centimeters is equal to 13, right, divided by 100 squared, and that's going to be 13 divided by 10,000, and that's going to give me 0,0013 square meters. Okay, and that's example D. Please review this. Remember, you need to learn actively, make notes, write on the tables that I have done with you, and use them as a guide. Okay, but be sure to commit them to memory because the basics of the metric system must be known.